Hello, 102ers. This one's going to be a long video, and I think it's just time to get started. Right. Is anybody here old enough to know who these guys are? Now, this song here was huge in the 80s when it first came out. Then it became huge again in the 90s when Microsoft bought the rights of it to introduce the Start button for Windows. I've learned to hate the song because I've heard it so damn much, and I'm glad it's just the video here with no audio. The lip syncing in the video is awful too. The rest of their catalog, especially the early stuff, was really good. So don't judge them on the leotards and lip syncing, okay? So, before we really start us up, let's once again remind everyone that there is an announcement for this week. So here it is. We have last week, we have this week, we have the video, we have the chapter listing, we have what's coming up in week 10. Oh wait, this is week 9? That must mean it's due next week. Yep, at the end of next week. Then we have a few things to read through, we have a few things to review, and you have 2 things to submit. However, this one discussion board post, actually, if you do it correctly, you can do it there and the progress checkpoint at the exact same time. So you do it here first, copy it and paste it into here. Bob's your uncle. Perfect. And at the very bottom, as always, my friends, you see the Unit 3 argument directions in the sample document under the attachments. Please don't forget that. I'm really, really hoping that you don't forget that. Okay, cool. Now that we've seen the announcement, to start, let's go ahead and visit our old friend, the 102 Masterclass Schedule, over here on the right-hand side. Click on where it says 102 Masterclass Schedule, and we will scroll all the way down to week number 9. Here it is. So as you can see here, we've got 3 things to look at, as well as any Unit 3 resources as needed, which, by the way, I would highly recommend the CSET resources. And 2 assignments here, sorry. So, that being said, let's start with tips for counter-arguments and rebuttals, since that's the big thing for this week. Clicking on here has a lot of nuggets of information here, but unfortunately it's rather quick and lacks a lot of solid discussion on not just what to do, but why we do it in the first place. I have sometimes asked someone during a debate, did you just wait for me to take a breath or a drink so you could just jump in and start speaking? Or did you actually have something of note to say? Seriously, how many of us actually listen for the breaks in the conversation, just jump in without ever really listening to what the actual person's words were before we do? That's not giving a counter-argument, folks. That's a verbal attack. A solid counter-argument takes all of the initial argument points in, processes them, and then attempts to refute one or more of those points with counter-evidence. Yes, counter-evidence. That can be defined as evidence specifically found in response to an argument, which is presented in the, you guessed it, counter-argument. I've said before that an argument, and now, in this case, a counter-argument, that has no real evidence to support it is simply an assertion. We don't like assertions. Assertions are just verbal diarrhea that do more to show your inability to logically respond to that argument than to ever convince an opponent that their argument was wrong in the first place. Knowing that, we need to know how to accurately counter an argument. The first thing we have to do is provide a very clear and solid transition to illustrate to your reader that we are leaving the main argument and heading to a totally different direction. Now, there are many appropriate transitions that you can use. Some are listed on this page, but I also have provided you another link in your announcement that you can see here. And you can choose whichever one makes you feel stronger about the transition. As you can see in this page, it's not really as warm and fuzzy as the Delaware Tech Brightspace page, but what it lacks in back rubs and unicorns, it more than makes up for in down and dirty mechanics. By looking at this page, you can see how the sausage is made. Seriously, though, this is very helpful to get you thinking about transitions and assembling the ideas. So if you take a look at it, this bolded area here, the first contrasting transition, name the opposition, strong verb, opposing point of view. Okay, reading it like that would probably panic you. Let's take a second. The first contrasting transition is literally showing your reader, hey, we're now switching gears. However, admittedly, although, alternatively, you know that whatever's coming next is going to run in opposition to everything you just said. Then, the only thing I really disagree with on this page is the naming of the opposition and the samples that they used here. Oh, there we go. They say others or some, but that doesn't tell me anything. If you are writing about why we should ban abortion. You don't want to say others believe. You want to say that those people who feel that allowing abortions would be in the best interest of society, those people who are not religious, those people who are politically minded yet socially backwards, whatever you want to say, that should go here to fully explain the opposition, okay? Then we have the strong verbs and denial, assertion, or assertion. So we can deny. We can say those people reject, oppose, disagree, question, or doubt. Assertion. They argue that. They reason that. They claim that. They support that, and so forth. All of these different verbs here will show your reader that, hey, these people actually have an idea and they want to move forward with it. Then, clear out the opposing point of view. State it very clearly. This whole point right here, this is going to be your C and your S of CSET, your claim and your setup. It starts to introduce those ideas. The claim is going to come right here in the opposing point of view, and everything else in here is the setup. Then we have the easy part. It's going to be the evidence. You know that. It's either direct quote or the paraphrase. You better do the paraphrase. So that's going to be the E. And the T is going to be your analysis, the explanation of the evidence, the tie-in, okay? So all of that will give you a pretty solid, damned counter-argument. After that, we can then transition into your other way of thinking, which is the rebuttal, going back in the other direction. And that will be the second contrasting transition, going back in the other direction. And then you reference that opposing view again, like, hey, that argument, while clear to them, doesn't make a lot of sense to everybody else. And then we turn it back and start criticizing the counterclaim. All of it's right here. All of it builds together. And yes, it is not necessarily the easiest thing to read, but once you take your time and understand it, it's going to be so much easier for you to write. Now, this page is pretty much just a bunch of illustrations to how to put together the rest of the counter-argument and rebuttal. But after that oh-so-necessary transition, you'll need to work into CSET, okay? Make the claim your main counter-argument point. And we walked through that with the Pennington Publishing blog. So please make sure that you do this. Pay attention. Go back to the Pennington Publishing blog and take a look at that. If you have questions, let me know. But do not rest on one simple idea. It's so nice that you want to do it at least twice. So go for 2 counter-argument points followed by 2 rebuttals, because once you've established the counter-argument, you get to switch gears again, once more using CSET, and present why, while the counter-argument might seem okay, it's actually still all about your argument. You can tear down your counter-argument here to show why the overall argument is still the strongest thing going. Again, the most important thing here is both a solid transition showing that you're moving in different directions, again, and the evidence that you are using to support those rebuttal points. Let me take a second to show you the discussion board I originally wanted you to do, and I'm still doing it. And this will make a lot more sense because I put a pretty solid sample in there. So let's take a look at that real quick. So the counter-argument and rebuttal planning discussion board is right here. All of the information you're going to need is here, including the link to the page we just left, this one, and how I want you to do it. I want you to show me what your thesis is so we know what you are arguing against. Then give me your counter-argument. Give me the transitional phrase, the opposing reason, the topic sentence. Give me the 2 ideas in here, which is your evidence. And then one possible source that you're going to cite, okay? You do the same thing with the rebuttal. That might be confusing to some of you. So go down here and take a look at the sample I put up. I've got my thesis right here. We've gone back to the DUI, DWI thesis, okay? Here I've got 2 counter-arguments. And as you can see, you do not have to do this part, by the way. I have labeled them 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3 to show you that I'm using 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. This shows you exactly what I would expect to see in your counter-argument. Rebuttal, same thing. 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2. I don't know why I don't have a 3 there, but here they are. So if you read through this and see how I want you to do it, That's great. Now, here's a bonus. When I type it in here by itself, it looks nice. It looks long. If I copy it and paste it into a Word document and format it correctly, 12 point Times New Roman, 1-inch margins, double spaced, this is about 1 2/3 of a page. That's a lot. Okay, that's a lot of your paper that's already written. Cool, isn't it? Okay, the next page to review is Paraphrasing in your Argumentative research paper. Clicking on here takes you to here. Unfortunately, this page is really not very good. First, you've already seen the whys and wherefores of paraphrasing before. Next, this page isn't really about paraphrasing to begin with. It's literally somebody's rant on citing paraphrasing. Just remember that if you are using any outside source, whether you directly quote it, also known as copying and pasting it, or paraphrasing it, also known as taking someone else's ideas and putting them into your own words so that everyone understands them better, you must cite it, now and forever. Don't ever forget that. It's not your material, so you must give credit to the original author. So what is the big takeaway from this page, since it's not really about paraphrasing? The type of citing that you must do. Officially, the American Psychological Association states that you must provide author, year of publication or update, and the location of the information, that's the page number or paragraph number, for any direct quote. The APA also states that for any paraphrase, you must provide the author a year of publication or update, but the location of the information, once again, the page or paragraph number, is optional, which means that you can choose to include it or not. They leave that up to your receiving institution or instructor. That would be me. Now, to be honest with you, I prefer seeing the location of the information. Again, that's the page or paragraph number in every citation. Why? Well, in a direct quote, it's a rule. In a paraphrase, it shows me and your other readers not just where the paraphrase begins, which is right after the year, but also where it ends. Your reader never has to guess if the next sentence is part of your paraphrase or the beginning of your tie-in. There's no muddy waters here, folks. Now, some of my colleagues are dead set against this, and I'm still not sure why. You're literally adding as many characters to your paper as you would if you typed in a telephone number. That's it. Honestly, you're actually adding more characters to the telephone number, but whatever. So this is called bookending, as you can see down here. Oh, wait, we're getting there. There it is. Setup, evidence, citation. So take a look at this. Here's our setup, our year. Here's our evidence, and then here's our citation at the end, okay? That's very, very helpful. However, if you are curious about the best way to paraphrase, then I can tell you to avoid the thesaurus game and try the old put the end at the beginning and the beginning at the end game. The hell am I talking about? Let's say for whatever reason you have to put this in your paper. The large green dinosaur ate the leafy treetops. It was written by Grant in 1993, paragraph 1. Fantastic. Now, a lot of you, when you were told to paraphrase by some very tired and bored English teachers in high school, you got very lazy and tried to play the thesaurus game. What's that? The huge, verdant, terrible lizards consume the vegetation atop the woody protrusions. Well, that's crap, isn't it? It's awkward, it's annoying, and all you did was you changed each of the words, big to huge, green to verdant, dinosaurs to terrible lizards, ate to consumed, the leafy treetops, vegetation atop the wooded protrusions. It's ridiculous. Nobody speaks like that. Equally, have you noticed what else you're missing? Bing! That's correct. You are missing the citation at the end. That's bad. So, instead of just trying to change every word so it doesn't look the same, try something different. Take the end of the sentence and make that the beginning. Take the beginning and try to push that towards the end and just reorganize the middle. What I've done here is I've actually reused several key words, which is fine, because the rest of the paper, the rest of the paraphrase is not in the same order or format as the original. Plus, I have used a narrative citation rather than an in-text citation. So instead of Grant, 1993, para 1 at the end, I start with, according to Dr. Grant, 1993. There's my setup, right? Treetops were the most common sustenance for the bigger dinosaurs due to the proximity to their mouths. Wonderful. I've taken the beginning and I made that the end. I took the end and made that the beginning. I've used words like treetops and dinosaurs. Okay? No problems. Nobody's going to yell at me for that because everything else is mixed up enough that it doesn't look like I simply just copied it and pasted it and forgot to put quotation marks around it. Okay? Also, you do not have to do the Unit 3 paraphrasing project at the end of this page unless you really want to. I'm very happy to receive it, comment on it, and return it if you'd like to work on it. If not, then there's no skin on my nose, okay? So what do we have last here? Well, we're talking about APA. So clicking on this page takes us here, and honestly, it is not a very good page. We have a couple videos. We have kind of a worthless document here that you can see, and you can look through them on your own, no problem. But I actually have a lot better material for you. First, you can go to apastyle.org and see the first-hand descriptions and ideas behind APA formatting. If you can decipher the technical speak, this is a great page because, well, it's exactly what we're doing. I'm going to provide the link again in the comments in the announcement, but it's literally apastyle.org, okay? So when you get here, it's written by the American Psychological Association, and it's all about APA style. You're going to want to click on Style and Grammar Guidelines and take a look at either in-text citations or references for the most part. For most of you, you're probably going to go here and take a look at, works included in a reference list, reference examples, that's a good one. And then you can take a look at online media. That's going to be a big one. Look, you can cite Facebook and TikTok and Twitter. I refuse to call it X. You got websites and so forth. All of that is here, and it will show you exactly what it's supposed to look like from the experts themselves. Then you can look at one of my favorites, Purdue University's Online Writing Lab, or O.W.L, OWL, Whoo. Shut up. This page has everything that you need for any phase of the writing process. If you want to look at what else they can offer you, you click on Purdue OWL and we'll take you to the main page, and that can help you with punctuation and verb tense and all sorts of things. But I want to focus right now on the idea of APA style. So we go down here to APA Formatting and Style Guide, 7th edition, and click on it. And you can see right here the 2 in-text citations and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 reference ideas that you can go through. Everything else is very helpful as well, but those are the ones that you're probably going to focus on the best. That's very important, and it will show you this. Your intended audience is college students, so you're right in that wheelbase. Whatever you do, just make sure to use APA version 7, okay? It automatically defaults to that. You can see that right here. And if you're going to be gullible enough to use the citation machine on automatic generator, just make sure that you're paying attention, okay? Finally, you have what I consider to be the best source that you can use for APA formatting at Delaware Tech, the color-coded APA Citation Style Guide created by the Delaware Tech Library System for you, the Delaware Tech student. You are literally the intended audience for this. So everything here is presented as easily as possible with as many wonderful examples as you could possibly ask for. All of the most common conventions are spelled out for you. So I would highly recommend printing it out. Obviously, color would be best. And keeping it with you. It gets updated every time APA updates it, so it's top-notch. I have found out just recently that the library wants to update this to something a little bit more flashy. It's not as detailed. I'm not a big fan of it right now. But I've been told that they're going to work on something new that's going to replace this, but still be as detailed. So, until then, keep this link, okay? Now, you may be thinking that the provided APA references from databases or those automatic citation generators like at Purdue O.W.L are going to be perfect. They're not. In my experience, they always get the capitalization wrong, and sometimes they screw up the punctuation and italics as well. As I will be holding you accountable for the correct formatting, using the sources that I mentioned earlier and creating your own references yourself is probably your safest bet, okay? After you do the discussion post, you should be pretty much done with your paper. So there's a discussion board, what we talked about earlier. And then this is where this week's real big homework comes in. The Unit 3 checkpoint. So, the Unit 3 progress checkpoint will be you submitting the material that you have to me so that I can review it and give you feedback on the most important parts of the paper prior to submission in 2 weeks. Basically, I will be looking at your side of the argument, encompassing a minimum of 3 argument points, developed using CSET format, where you must utilize multiple sources that you have been approved. Your counterargument, which should also be formatted in CSET formatting, showing me a minimum of 2 counterargument points using multiple approved sources. And your rebuttal, again, CSET, multiple sources, probably 2 paragraphs or 1 great big amazing paragraph. I will be looking for detail. I will be looking for source material. I will be looking for cohesion, the way each section seamlessly flows into the next one. I will be looking for some supporting ideas which build up and tear down the thesis statements and topic sentences. All of this is important in the development section. Honestly, if you're going to ask me how long this should be, I would probably say that your entire development section should probably be 5 pages or more. If you had listened to me over the last few weeks and done a little at a time, you should be in fantastic shape and not stressed in the least. If you skipped the videos or just said, nothing's due, I'll just catch up at the end, then you're probably going to be tearing your hair out and bad-mouthing me. So, very quickly, let's go through the paper again, just so you know, you need to know what you have to do with the development. And then, next week, the final paper for your grade is due, so it's time to buckle down. First, reread through the instructions, first 2 pages. The most important for me to remind you of now are the fact that it must be a minimum of 7 full pages of double-spaced text with 1-inch margins in 12-point Times New Roman or Calibri font. Anything less than that and you will lose points. Again, this is a college-wide requirement. Next, you must have 7 sources cited within your paper in APA formatting for both the individual citations and the references. I say 7 when the instructions say 6 because there are already you've already found 7 sources. 2 in Unit 1, 2 in Unit 2, and 3 in Unit 3. My math skills aren't all that great, but 2 plus 2 equals 4, and 4 plus 3 equals 7, right? Anyway, let's move on. Then we have the breakdown of the paper itself. You are to focus on the development section, so you need the argument, the counterargument, the rebuttal, and that is pretty much most of development. Background is going to be in there as well. I'd like to see it, hopefully. But if you're waiting on those, just make sure that you're having them done by next week. That's the final grade, remember? If you need to submit this to me by the deadline, then you should meet with me You just need to submit this by the deadline, period. If, however, you would like to meet with me or chat with me over Zoom, I'm only too happy to do that, but you'll need to schedule time with me first, okay? Everything that you need is here in the document. I've got like 7, 8, 9 pages of text here. Just make sure that you are using the section headers because people keep forgetting them for some dumb reason, okay? So, remember, and this is very important, folks, I am trying to give my best to you so you can give me your best. Everything that you need to succeed in this paper, I have given you. If you listen to me and follow the instructions, you will be cruising to the end. If you skip the videos, just think that you have it ready to go, you're probably going to fall flat on your face. You take your chances by spinning Fortuna's wheel at that point. Please, don't leave it to chance, okay? I'm trying to make sure that you are ready. And that's it, folks. It's a dense, long, and detailed video, so rewatch it if you need to. Good luck. Let me know what I can do to help you, and I'll hopefully talk with some of you soon. See ya.